Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. This is Sith Kills, otherwise known as Nick. And today we're going to be talking about episode 7, House of the Dragon. And I gotta say, there's another solid episode. I did enjoy it. There's a lot of character development, especially with the kids in this episode, and a lot of progression when it comes to the main characters as well. Um, I think the actors all did very, very good in their roles in this episode. And a lot of the story progression with the characters and development with the characters were very well done in the short amount of time that we got in this episode. And I mean, when I say short amount of time, it was still an hour, but every single minute was used very wisely, in my opinion. It was very well edited and put together. So I gotta say, the season has been very, very consistent as far as you know entertainment and also character development, um, and just each character having a progression. So I gotta say, House of Dragons definitely been stepping up its game. I can't say I'm totally over season eight's um, mishaps, but I gotta say I am enjoying this season a lot, and it has been very consistent, which I gotta say is refreshing. Because even with Game of Thrones, I mean, there was some season there or some episodes weren't really that good. Well, a lot towards the later seasons, but this first season has been consistently done well each and every episode, and I gotta say, there's very little complaint, I have to say, especially with the actors, the storyline, the character progression. Um, Everything has been very, very well done. Now we'll get to talk about the spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, fair warning. But we do get a lot of progression with Rhaenyra and Damien. Um, the episode starts off with the funeral of Damien's former wife, and they're at the Valerian's castle, and they're having the funeral. And this scene is playing off very awkward, obviously, but there's a lot of dialogue that was said, and one of those, saying was keeping the Targaryen and Valerian bloodline strong and keeping the blood pure. And Damien just kind of cracks up laughing, knowing that Rhaenyra's kids are not pure; they're of the strong family. And he just kind of cracks up, and everyone kind of gives him a weird look, and you kind of feel the tension, because everyone knows based on how the kids look that they're not, Valerian, and the scene really kind of portrays that very well, just in the facial reactions of each character. You also find out that um, the former Hand of the King, Hightower, is back as the Hand of the King, Otto, and I love the actor who's playing him. He makes the character very entertaining to watch, and he's introduced with his little Hand of the King badge, so he's back in full action. Damien is after the proceedings, they're having kind of like a gathering, and they have this scene where Damien is kind of just at the, I guess, lookout area while looking over the water. He could go up to the king of Valerius, Viserys, but he doesn't. He has Viserys go to him, and kind of showing, I guess, strength. And the conversation kind of plays very awkwardly because he even tells, the gods haven't been kind to him, Damien, obviously, because he lost his wife. And Damon points out that the gods have definitely not been kind to his brother, which is a little bit of a, low blow, but I guess fits Damien's character. Didn't think he really needed to hit him while he was down. And you had to feel for Viserys because, I mean, this guy, I got, I feel for him, because he just wants to, you know, have his family get along. He just wants everyone to get along. He just wants to bring his family close together and try to do the right thing. And, while doing it, he's, deteriorating, getting sicker and sicker. And nobody really gives a crap about him basically dying. So you kind of feel for him. And he's just trying to get reconnected to his brother, telling him that there's, space for him at King's Landing. And Damien gets pissed basically and kind of walks off, says he doesn't need nothing. Um, you also get a scene where when Damien walks off from the king, he passes by Otto and says this little, I forgot the exact wording, but this basically calls him a shark, and that sharks are always going to be hungry, something along those means. But it has a little good dialogue there, meaning that Otto, he knows Otto's ultimate goal, and he's pointing that out basically. You do get a scene with the kids as well, and one of Rhaenyra's sons goes up to the daughter of Damien, try to comfort her, and she holds out and holds his hand. I guess accepting that he's trying to comfort her, and the queen that never was comes by, which is Corlys Velaryon's wife, and which is, I think her name was Princess Rainey. But she comes and comforts the kids as well, and he kind of just steps aside, the son of Rhaenyra. So it's sad, obviously, but I don't think she, or at least in this scene, she didn't really want Rhaenyra's son by her. And later on, you get a scene with her and her husband, Corlys Velaryon, talking about the validity of the kids of Rhaenyra being related to, Corlys. She doesn't think they are. I mean, she points out that a lot of the realm doesn't, but he, basically just wants to say family's name is the only thing that's really remembered throughout history. So he's basically kind of thrown underneath the rug, saying, hey, they're Velaryon even though they're not Velaryon. And I think it's because in the family outing scene, before you get to this scene, you have a scene where he's talking to one of the kids of Rhaenyra, and he's telling him, the second born one, the youngest, that he's going to be the future shipmaster, and tells him that he should be proud of that. And he says he doesn't want the job, and he asks him why, and he says that if I'm the new shipmaster, then that means everyone else is dead. Pointing out that he cares about his family, which is sweet. So I think that scene being played before getting to the scene where he's talking to his wife about it, points out to the fact that he does care for these kids, even though he knows that they're not blood related to him. So I like that they kind of pointed that out. Alicent is more aggressive as ever in this episode. I kind of like it though, because her father gains a lot of respect for Alicent in this episode, and they get a little scene where he's proud of her actions, and Alicent gets a little bit more adventurous with her character. She goes after Rhaenyra in the scene after her son gets attacked, but we'll go into that after. Let's talk about the kids. So, the youngest son of Princess Rhaenyra actually gains control of Vagar, the biggest dragon, and he kind of when he gains control, he kind of acts like a pimp when he does it. Um, he kind of goes in and thinks he's a badass, but I like the scene where he actually you know mans up to Vagar and basically tells him not to burn him because he was about to burn his ass, and climbs atop of him, and the dragon kind of tests him a little bit where he almost falls off, but he gains control and ultimately becomes his dragon rider. And the daughters of Damon, thinks that somebody stole him, and he comes back, and he's, I guess a little bit big headed, and tells the kids, the daughters, that they should have claimed Vagar themselves, and that now Vagar has a new dragon rider, and they get into this vicious fight where the two daughters and the two kids of Rhaenyra get in a fight with the youngest son of Alicent. And I'm sorry, Alicent's youngest son was the one that gains control of being the dragon rider for Vagar. Sorry, I must have said Rhaenyra before, but it's actually Alicent's youngest son. But Rhaenyra's sons and the daughters of Damien attack the kid that took the dragon. And like I said, he was, insulting, back and forth, and calls the kids a bastard. And it's a very vicious fight. And I think it was the oldest son of Rhaenyra, pulls out a knife and slashes, I think it's the left eye. And he actually loses the eye. But in this scene, you kind of see that the youngest son of Alicent, who is now the dragon rider of Vagar, is holding back because he had this rock and he was about to hit the girl, and then also the youngest son. And if he hit him with a rock, he would have killed him. But he still does hit the girl very viciously, and the younger kid as well. So this fight, if you compare it to like the Rings of Power choreograph fights in that series, it's laughable because this one is actually very well choreographed, um, and very vicious. So kid loses an eye, and you get this scene where the Viserys is trying to pinpoint what happened. He's just trying to keep everyone calm, even though this is something big that's happened. Alicent is obviously pissed off. It's his son. She, wants, somebody to pay for this, basically. And Rhaenyra comes into the scene. She doesn't know what's, happening. And she figures out what happened and basically calls for Alicent's death because Alicent, well, the son of Alicent, says that the kids of Rhaenyra are bastards, and that's a criminal offense because they're the future heir to the throne. So Viserys is trying to calm everyone down. He asks the younger son of his youngest son. He asks him, who told you this lie, you know, and he's almost about to point out that it's Alicent, and you kind of almost think that he's about to point at Alicent, but he actually throws the ball over to his brother, and his brother points out that, hey, everyone knows. Nobody really told me. It's just obvious. And the king, basically not storms out, but then, outbursts that if anybody ever says this again, then he'll cut their tongue out. And Alicent, doesn't think this is sufficient punishment. So she, takes Viserys's knife and goes after Rhaenyra right before she tries to order Sir Kristen, who is almost borderline a psychopath now, orders him to try to, get the eye of one of Rhaenyra's sons. But since he's held back by the Night's Guard, or Night's Watch, I should say, um, Alicent just goes after Rhaenyra. So this is the scene where his, father is pretty much, in the background, kind of proud of what's going on, which you later find out that he is, um, which we already talked about. But this scene, was very well done. I mean, you see the sides, building between Alicent and Rhaenyra, and you see who's going to be fighting on whose side and why. And that's, we haven't even talked about Rhaenyra and Daemon. So they hook up after a long walk on a beach. They get together and they devise a plan, basically to marry. Is the short end of their story. And Damien goes to the boyfriend of Rhaenyra's husband and pays him to try to assassinate, I guess, his boyfriend, which is kind of stupid. Like, why would you go to the person that he's dating and seeing and obviously has a relationship with to try to kill him? But he does. And we find out at the end of the episode that they faked his death and he's on this rowboat, going into a ship, going to a big ship, anyways. So I don't know if that's Alicent's ship or if he's obviously going to be teaming up probably with Alicent, which gives her another dragon. And she just gained the biggest dragon in the land. So the team's a building. Rhaenyra is a lot more ruthless. She's becoming a lot more unlikable because you had this scene prior before, them planning the death. Valerion's son, which is her husband, tries to make up with her. Tells her that he's been a horrible husband and that he's going to try to make amends and raise their children, even though he knows it's not his kids. He's going to raise them as future kings and that he's going to do the right thing. And she still plans his death with Damien. So, that's going to be interesting what's going to happen there. So, a lot of interesting things, happened. A lot of animosity being built, not only between the adults, but also the kids. Supposedly, this is the last episode we're going to actually have the kids at these ages. So, they're going to be aged up. The actors are going to be changing. So I think we're going to have another interesting episode ahead of us. But, so far, 7 episodes in, and I probably missed a few things here and there, but that's kind of what I remember from just, memory. But a lot of things did happen as far as story progression. And you got to give it up to House of Dragon for, fitting in so much character development with so many different characters in such a short amount of time. Very, very hard to do, and very rare nowadays. So, definitely another enjoyable episode. Definitely excited to see what's going to happen in the next episode, and you definitely see the Targaryen Civil War happening and developing. So, it's definitely becoming more exciting every episode I watch. So hopefully they don't drop the ball. We'll see though. Time will tell. We could have another season 8 mishap. Could happen season 2. Could happen season 4. We don't know. But if they can keep it this consistent, I can see them having another very successful series in their hands. As long as they don't drop the ball. So anyways, guys, that is my thoughts and breakdown of the episode. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one.